What can we learn from the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the leadership that was provided by President Zelensky of Ukraine?
You know, if you're in Vietnam and want to know about business, actually, if you're anywhere and want to know about business, you might want to check out Tom Peng. He doesn't fuck around. Yeah, Tom Peng. He's A-okay. Peace.
So today is March 21st. It's been probably 25 days since the start of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I made 2 videos about that. At first, I predicted that the war will happen before it happened. And second, I predicted the outcome of what will happen to this war. And you can check those videos out here and here, links below. So what can we learn from this invasion and the leadership provided by this guy? That's the President Zelensky of Ukraine. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about him. He was a comedian. He was never in politics. He was a funny man on TV. And in fact, he was the actor of a TV series where he was the actor pretending to be the president of Ukraine. And later on, he actually ran for political office. Through a democratic process, he was elected the president of Ukraine. And then now, there's an invasion from Russia into Ukraine, and he's dealing with that. So I want you to think back to the first 3 days of the invasion. The whole world is basically saying, oh, Ukraine is fucked, right? The whole world is thinking that Ukraine will fall, will collapse. Within 3 days, Russia will take it all over. In fact, that was somewhat my prediction as well. I thought Ukraine will basically give up after 3 days and Russia will take full control. It did not happen. Instead, Zelensky went on TV and motivated an entire nation to fight against the aggressor, to fight against the Russians who were invading his country. Because he spoke so eloquently, he was such a motivator, and he told the Ukrainian people to resist, to fight, to never give up. And what happened is that the whole Ukrainian nation, the civilians, the military, they work together and they're pushing out the aggressor, they're pushing out the Russian military. It's been day 25 and the Russian military is not making a lot of headwinds, they're not making a lot of progress in the invasion because of the Ukrainian people putting up a lot of resistance under his leadership. And when the world saw that, they wanted to help out. Before, the United States, the European nations, they were ready to give up. They're already considering how to get him out of the country. And when the United States offered Zelensky how to evacuate from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, what he said was, I don't need a ride, I need ammunition. And that was really inspirational. And because he did that, he was going to stay in Kyiv and fight the aggressors. Even if he's the president, even though that he's facing one of the biggest, most developed armies in the world, he's going to fight for his country. When he did that, the entire world supported him. So in the United Nations, 141 countries supported the motion to ask Russia to leave Ukraine immediately. Of course, nobody cares about United Nations. The point is that almost every country in the world is now supporting Ukraine because nobody likes country invading another country. So the reason why he can get this level of support is because he stood for himself and he is doing what's right. And when people see that, everybody want to help out. On the other hand, Russia is doing something wrong. They're not supposed to invade another country. So they cannot claim to be doing something right that's ethical or moral. So that's why the whole world is now against Russia. Basically, Russia only has a few countries that support it, maybe including China, North Korea, and a few others. But the rest of the world is against Russia because they are doing what is right. Russia is doing what's wrong. And the world will stand with what's right. Even if the United States has to suffer, even if the Western European countries have to suffer because they buy their energy from Russia, they will still side with what's right. So the first lesson here is that you gotta help yourself first. If you don't help yourself, nobody's gonna help you. If Zelensky did not ask the Ukrainian people to fight, to resist, to help themselves first, the Western nations will not help Ukraine. And they don't plan to help Ukraine until 3 days into the invasion. The whole world saw that Ukrainians, they're putting up a fight. Now, everybody wants to help. Like now they cut Russia off SWIFT. They give them money, weapons, whatever they want to fight the aggressor. Before that, they were not going to help them. But only when they see that the Ukrainians will help themselves, then the rest of the world jumps in. That's lesson number one. Also, what we can learn here is that people will always side with what's ethical, moral, and right. It doesn't matter about benefits. So when Germany and France, they supported Ukraine, what happens is that they risk their relationship with Russia, because Russia provides them with a lot of energy, oil and gas. But ultimately, France and Germany will do what is right, because people always have a tendency to gravitate to doing something that's right. People will always gravitate to doing something that's moral and ethical. That's why I said before, like the countries, United States, Canada, UK, and Australia, they always do the same thing. It doesn't require any kind of benefit between those countries. They will always do the same thing because they believe in doing what is right. So it's very easy for them to form an alliance. Whereas other countries like Russia or China, they don't really do what is right. They do what is good for themselves. So they have very short-term partnerships. And we're seeing that now today. So before the war, Russia and China was going to gang up. They're going to be partners. They're going to support each other throughout this invasion. But now, because the United States is threatening sanctions, and now China's like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not going to help Russia now, eh? So now you see that China is backing away from supporting Russia. That's when you have an alliance that's based on benefit. If I do this for you, you give me how much gas, how much oil I can buy from you. If it's only based on benefits, that relationship is very short term. It's not a long-lasting relationship. And this is how we deal with friends as well, how we form partnership within the business. That's how we form relationships, friendship, partnerships with people and companies. If you have shared values, then you can form a very long-term partnership, relationship, friendship. But if your relationship is not formed on common values, it's very short-term. Basically, you're just using other people are just using you. And when that benefit runs out, then that partnership ends, right? So it's very important that, especially with friendship, you always look for people that will have common values with you. And those are long-lasting relationships. And also, if you look at the news recently, you see that Zelensky, he is talking to the parliament in Canada, he's talking to the parliament in the UK, he's talking to lawmakers in the United States. Every country is inviting him to speak to their politicians, to their lawmakers. Why? He's like a fucking rock star right now. He's so popular because he's doing something brave and he's doing something right. And people love that. So he's like a fucking hero, right? What about Putin? Well, everybody hates him right now, right? And in fact, he doesn't go out of his palace. Zelensky, he goes out on the street, he does videos and he looked very confident, and he always communicate a positive message to resist the oppressor. We're gonna win this war, right? He's always very positive. And you look at Putin, right? He's hiding in his Kremlin palace. When he talks to people, they have to be far away from him because he's afraid to get assassinated, right? He's afraid, and he threatened people. Like recently, he told everybody that everybody must unite or else that there's gonna be a big purge, that he's gonna kill people. That doesn't support his point of view. When you do something right, then you're not afraid. And you have the moral argument. When you do something wrong, then you'll be afraid. You're afraid to lose power. You're afraid that people will turn on you. That's why you should never do anything unethical, immoral, wrong. You always should do something right. And that's what we learned from this conflict. So what do I think will happen to the Russian invasion of Ukraine? My prediction stands. I believe that the Russian economy will collapse. I believe that the Russian political system will collapse. I believe Putin will be ousted from power. whatever it means, I think Putin will not stay here for very long because everybody's turning against him, international community, even his own people, even his own military. So I believe his regime will not last till May this year. Let's see if my prediction turns out to be correct. All right, so take some fucking action. We learn something from this invasion that we can apply to even our own daily lives. Don't be a fucktard.